Ya te mandaré las cosas.
Okay.
Amy
also there.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, George.
I know you are going to listen what you already heard, but at least because I also changed a little the order. But...
So welcome everybody. We are going to start. I leave it to Abdel Nasser to make the presentation, and then I will try. We will start then, George. Abdel Nasser.
Yeah.
Okay. Abdel Nasser.
Yes. First of all, welcome back and happy to see you again in our video conferences. I will not be able to present a person who is about 40 years in the field of athletics, working for the rules, working in different parts of the athletics. He is doing a lot of things he was doing a lot of things for athletics, and he continued doing this. This is why he is here to share with us his about 40 years of experience. I will leave the floor to Jorge to start the video conference. We are really happy to have him here with us, and very glad to see him with us today.
George, before you start, okay. George, 1 minute, I just need to mute everybody, then you will be able to start.
Okay.
It's okay, Suren?
Yes, 1 minute. Unmute yourself. George, unmute yourself.
It's done.
That's okay.
Okay. So, dear colleagues and many friends, good morning or good afternoon or good evening or even good night. Some should be in bed at this time and others could be sleeping still. First of all, I would like to thank, Suren and his team that invited me already in December to talk with you about, not to talk, to share a couple of things a little related with my past as technical official. At the time, it was not possible. Mostly for a reason that I have to tell you, at least for those who don't know it. But I have a 98 years mother. Actually, I'm taking care of my mother. It's my official profession as a retired guy that I am for 7 years. And further to the age, of course, having 98 years, her health is not the best one, not only physical, but also mental. And this part, the mental health is really going worse and worse. And it may happen that she may call me. Of course, I told her that I was in another room, what I was more or less doing, but she can forget, and she may call me. So if she calls me, I may have to leave from your presence for a couple of seconds, and then I will come back. And I apologize for that, of course. As I said, some already know this problem and are used to this. The second thing, I slightly changed or proposed or asked Suren if it was possible to slightly change not the contents of the presentation, but I understood very fast that it was impossible to present everything that was in the title. So today it will be only a part, and I changed the order. And one of these days I may come back or not to you to share some other experiences, in this case related with the rules. Actually, what happened? We have a saying in Portugal, but mostly for the senior people, because the young ones, even today, a physiotherapist was here with my mother, and I asked her if she knew this saying, and no, she's in the 30s, 30 something. But in this saying, we say that we cannot have a square that is a very known square that we have in the center of Lisbon. We cannot have put this square in a very narrow street that is not far away from that square. It is what I did. I wanted to present a lot of things. And when I realized that I only had 1 hour and something, forgetting the questions, I said, no, it's really impossible. Even cutting several parts, it was really impossible. So I thought that maybe today, and it was what in a way, only yesterday, I have to say, only probably Suren was already sleeping, so we only read this morning. But what I was proposing was really to reverse the order and to start with, in a way, evolution of international officiating is maybe too much. But actually, when we started having international officials, and it will be not long, this is part of the presentation, and then maybe to share with you what we are doing now. When I'm talking about mostly ITOs, and I would say mostly World Athletics in European athletics. I've been a little far away, not because of me, but okay, it happened. And the changes that were introduced after we became referees, the ITOs became referees, and how we could work now. For some, it's not new, or because we work in the same team, or in teams that are already following this type of working. Also because I did this presentation already for Asia, for the Asian Federation, a couple of months ago. And actually, at least part of the presentation was also used in another presentation done in Europe, but not by me. So some already heard it, so it's only for the others. It can be, if it can be important for them, it's okay. I will be happy with that. Something that I also forgot to tell you that is also very well known by many of you. Me and technology, we are not the best friends in life. I'm not the best friend because they would not mind to be my friend, but I'm not. So usually I have always ought to ask someone to do things. Amy was was talking some minutes ago. Hopefully in World Athletics, for instance, graphic timetables are done by World Athletics, Amy, sometimes Luis, because I'm also, I think I was too lazy to learn how to do it, and to do it once every year or every 2 years was too much. So, okay. And what concerns computers is more or less the same, including PowerPoint presentations. And I'm not going to say I could not find, because it was the first time that I had to move slides that was also prepared by someone else, of course, not by me. Basically, not now. Now it was a Portuguese colleague who was preparing the slides, but the content of this part was Amy was preparing for this Asian presentation. Okay, so I will ask Suren to change slides every time it will be necessary to change. So when we talk, and many of you, maybe all of you know it, when we talk about evolution of international officiating, we have to remember that mainly until some years after the Moscow Olympic Games, there was really no international officiating, almost, but the jury of appeal. The jury of appeal was really appointed with usually with members that were not belonging to the organizing country, but jury of appeal. So we know that phase where we have the jury of appeal, the technical delegates, of course. Maybe we don't call it so officiating, but anyway, let's open as officials who are in our handbook. But there was actually no one acting as official in field. Okay, race walking, this is a more previous to this phase, but there was not really officials, international officials officiating in field until the Moscow Olympic Games happened. And probably you know the story. There were many stories behind and in front of these Olympic Games, with some criticism that local officials were not very correct. Sometimes it looks that is more stories than probably the truth. But there was really many comments, even that during javelin, local guys were opening some doors in one part of the stadium for the wind to be against when it was the Soviet athletes throwing, and then they were closing. This is really, I think, imagination. I had many contacts since the 90s with Russian colleagues, and some are still colleagues and friends, and including some old ones. And really, it was, I don't think it happened, but happened or not. The truth is that Russia, or in this case, Soviet, I think it was still Soviet, member of the technical committee, proposed to introduce an international official that in a way could control what was being done by the local officials. This was accepted. I was not there at the time, but I guess by the technical committee, was presented maybe directly to the council. The council accepted. So a group of people was working on this. And in 84, 85, the IWF, at the time it was IWF, asked the federations to propose people, officials, should be officials, that could form or could integrate the first panel of these international technical officials, of the ITOs. And it happened. So several federations proposed people. As my federation proposed me, I was lucky to be proposed. The following year, the IWF asked again for new members, and we had a panel of ITOs that started working with IWF, of course, and at least in Europe, I know. In other continents, I suppose it was more or less solid, maybe not so fast, but you will know better than me. The colleagues there from other areas started being appointed to officiate as ITOs. But actually, why it was never sought to do something like this before? Probably also for financial reasons, because in athletics, all of us know, at least in international competitions and national ones, many times we have problems even to have the minimum number of officials to officiate in our events, or at least in some of our competitions. But in international, it was never the case. At least in most of the situations, it was not the case. But there were so many officials that really the idea was, okay, we can live with the local ones, and we don't need to appoint international, but technical delegates and race walking judges and jury of appeal. So they started being appointed, but to be very honest, and some of you know it, not all the members of this first panel were really technical or judges, or at least have one technical bone. So this was easy to understand. And then again, the IWF decided to organize first pilot courses that in the future were the level 2 courses that now we have for several years. And this was in 94. So in 94, there was, if I'm not wrong, 4 of these courses. All the ITOs at the time were invited to come to this course, followed by exam, written and oral. And 2 were in Portugal by luck, and it was not influence of anyone living in Portugal. There is a story behind, but okay, it's not relevant now. And it was Ahmed was here. It was I saw Ahmed and I talked with him. No, I was not talking with him, but Vivian, I'm not sure. But Ahmed, I remember that he was here close to Lisbon in the French course. So we had 2 courses, one for English-speaking Europeans, African, and Middle East or Asia, closer Asia to Europe, and then the French for the same continents. And it was, I'm not going to say when I met Robert and Denise Blanchet, because one of them was technical delegate in a competition in Portugal before. So we were already a little friends. Of course, the friendship was much bigger afterwards. We worked together several times, even with Robert in the technical committee. So, as I said, all the ITOs were invited. Many did not accept the invitation. This is true. And from the others who participated in these 4 courses, some did not pass the exam. And after that, the courses started to be promoted and organized, I guess, more or less in all the areas. As I told you, Europe I know better. So courses in Europe started, and for many years we have now every 4 years, as probably in all the areas, we have these courses. But what is now important is to remember which one was really our task during all these years, since the beginning. And as you know, but you can see in the slide, first we were almost only witnesses of what was happening, how the officials were officiating, if they were following the rules, the regulations, the decisions of the technical delegates, but we could not even really decide, nothing. In case of problems, or if we could see something that we thought it was not correct, we should propose to the local colleagues how to do it. They could accept, they could not accept, and when they were not accepting, of course, the technical delegate should be contacted. My personal experience, and the ones who are already ITOs for some time, or they were on the other, I don't like to say on the other side, but they were from the side of the local officials. But I repeat, my experience in most of the cases, the relation was really good. But I cannot say that was always the case. In some competitions, it was clear for us, or for some of us, that local officials were not very happy to have people from outside coming when they thought that they were more than capable to be the responsible for the officiating there. But I think this happened in all the sports, why not also in athletics? And since the beginning, the idea of having ITOs was to have, at least the idea was, to have a high level and consistency in the decisions. And that's why we talk, maybe we should talk a little more. This is one of the things that I forgot to say in the beginning. Really congratulations for this group that is organizing these webinars, as some others that are doing in other parts of the world, because is a way for us to discuss, even to discuss some aspects, to be a little more maybe updated with some rules, ways to work in certain areas. So this is important for all of us. I think that all of us can learn something at the end of each webinar from all the sides. So in the beginning, witness, paragraph, and some years later, people start thinking that maybe this is not enough. We are having problems in some places. So, okay, second phase, we could intervene if we will think that, okay. But it was still not enough. And there was a proposal coming from, I think, people from inside the technical committee, that, okay, I think is the time, we think is the time for the ITOs to be the referees of the events they will be assigned. And this was a big change, of course, from what it was in the past, since witness, simple witness, and sometimes we were not witnessing so well, or we were not intervening when we should, or we were intervening when it was not the case. But now with the referees, things are more, I think, more clear. We know since the beginning what is our task, what we should do. And this is what was really changed in the way that we are working in the competitions, starting with the chief ITO. And the next point is really some topics that, well, at least as a chief ITO, I started proposing to IAAF. I suppose I repeat that my activity as ITO for many years was basically in the IAAF, because I was a European Athletics Council member and I decided not to be an ITO. So it was mostly with the World Athletics. And what I was proposing, Suren, let's see, next slide, what to do. Well, first of all, we have the guidelines that are open. They were also, I'm not going to say changed or amended, but okay, some of these ideas that I'm going to present or to remember you are in these guidelines, of course. And And well, the first aspect that I would like to tell you, further to be referees in some events, the ITOs will be available to do other tasks as the old ITOs were doing. I can give you a number of examples. For instance, in the races, we know, and we'll see it again in the next minute, we have a track referee, of course, start referee, and the video referee that is also acting in a good number of competitions, at least the top level competitions. But in the past, when we were witnesses, simply witnesses, or okay, could intervene if, it was also normal to have some of us around the track in certain positions that actually are still mentioned in these guidelines. Maybe it was not necessary, but they are still there, drawing the attention for the particular areas in the track events and in field events, but in this case in track events, where we should be attentive. And it's normal to place ITOs, even now. They are not referees, but acting as ITOs. In the break line for the 800 meters and 4x4, in the hurdles of the steeple chase, in certain parts of the track. And to be very honest with you, in some competitions where we have 10 ITOs, it happened with World Athletics. In areas, I'm not sure if it happened, in Europe for sure not, but in others, I don't know, I confess my ignorance, but in World Athletics and World Athletics, it is the case. In the first days, half or a little more than half of the competition, sometimes we have problems to find people to all the events. But afterwards, it's not so easy. And of course, I think we cannot present a plan of assignments to our bosses when some of the ITOs are doing nothing. This is true. So even for that reason, we can say maybe a political reason, not as a union member to defend the job of the ITOs. Oh, let's defend. It's not the case. But if we are free, why not to put in the places where we can still do some help? As I told you, the takeover areas in relays. So referee, okay, but also something else. Next one, Suren. The planning and the preparation by the chief ITO. Can you show only the first one? And then we are jumping. Thank you. First, the second, in this case, the second one. First, inside planning and preparation by the chief ITO. So the next sentence, Suren, is to know which members do we have. Okay. In principle, we are informed the way, for instance, World Athletics is working for some time. When we receive the appointment, all the members are there of the team, so we know which members are there. Of course, some of them may not accept, may have problems later. Usually, we are always informed by the office. And after knowing the members of the team, next part is second phrase, also to know who is the competition director. I have maybe to confess that in the past, and I'm talking also by myself, many times we were not contacting the competition director. But as you see, the way that we are now working as referees, it is important to know and to change messages with the competition director. I have to confess, and I'm glad to confess it, that some of the ideas that I was having afterwards were also helped after no, because I was working as chief ITO with the competition director was Chris Cohen in London first, then in Doha it happened, in Tokyo also the same. So it was very easy, not only because of the personal relations we have, but because as a technical person is really very easy to work with Chris. Then the next sentence is to know what the technical delegates, of course, because what we are doing, we have to propose also to the technical delegates, and they can give a feedback. We can even ask for a certain number of information if it will be the case. Questions that we can also do I think is the next sentence, Suren, to the competition coordinator of the competition, of this competition. If it is World Athletics, be it Imi, be it Luis, in principle is one of the other. So it's also not to know which is the competition coordinator to work with him. If it is in Europe, we also have colleagues who are doing this. So this contact is also important. And the next sentence, of course, ask for the competition timetable and where the events will be staged. Because whoever will be, if it is World Athletics, as I said, this is prepared by the office. If it is in Europe, it is not the case. Usually the technical delegates have to do it. But basically, I would say graphic timetables are now being prepared everywhere. And let's say the graphic timetable is helping us when planning our work as ITOs. It's important to know not only the timetable, full timetable with the time that is foreseen each event will last, but also to know in which part of the track, if it is a track and field competition. Mostly we are appointed for track and field, outdoor, or in this case, or indoor. But it's also important to know if all the events will be staged in the stadium, or at least starting and finishing, because road events, and this is also something that was, I'm not going to say changed, but I think now is more normal to have road events being staged outside the stadium completely, not even with the start and the finish there. So we also have to know when planning our work where it will be. For instance, Tokyo, we are aware what happened. So in my case that I also had, first of all, because I have time. As I said, I'm retired and I had time to do. So when I had more or less, between brackets, final timetable, I started preparing the plan of assignments for the ITOs. And then suddenly everybody understood, that yes, but the road events are going to the north of Japan. So necessary to change the plan, because one of the officials that was already one of the ITOs that was already planned to be the referee of all the road events was now moving to Yokohama. So during part of the time, he will not be in Tokyo. So I had to replace in the field events where he was referee, in a couple of them, I have to change it. And I have to change, let's say, to switch a couple of events. The first part he will be there, then he will fly to Yokohama until the end, and then will come back to his country. So we have to know where everything is going to be staged. Next one, Suren. I already mentioned, as for the competition venue layout, that usually is in the graphic timetable. Next one. Ask for the facilities for the ITOs in the stadium. Okay, at least to know if we have. Maybe it's not necessary more than that, but I'm not going to say that people forget. But okay, talking about this, I understood that I'm already talking too much. But with this change in the function of the referees, I already defended a couple of times. It was not done up to now, but maybe one day, and it depends, of course, on the facilities that we have. Being now, and I'm talking not of the full-time outside the field of play ITOs, but for those who are mostly involved in the field events, I already propose to have us together with the local officials in the same area, to have a meeting room separated where we can meet independently, the group of ITOs, why not? But since we want and we have to belong to our teams, because now we are going to have teams in the field events, we should be with them. Of course, you can say, and you are fully right, yes, this is okay, very good, George, but if we don't speak their language, if there is not so easy communication, you are right. Of course, it will not be so easy. Something different, at least for us. I'm now imagining to be with the officials in London, in the same place, because we can talk to each other than to be maybe in Tokyo, where I don't know how many people may speak English. Okay, so it's not precisely the same, but we should try to be more and more with them, and there are ways to do it. But even to be together with them, not forgetting at least a room where we can meet once in a while, every day when it will be necessary. Next one, Surin, asking for instructions from the technical delegates or from the organizing body, Big World Athletics, Asian, African, South American, NACAC, whatever, Oceania, if there are any information that we should know when preparing the plan, because we may have. Next one. Now, how to design the ITO's plan of assignments. Yes, next. Suren. ITOs are the referees, we already said, but in cases where we have, in the field events, I'm talking about the field events again, when we have two groups being staged at the same time, can be shot put, qualification, combined events, or even high jump, pole vault, that are not so far away usually, but when you have more than one group, and if we have enough people, we may have a second ITO referee helping in the second group. So not to be alone with two groups, but to have two, if we have, of course. Not all the competitions have 10 ITOs, so sometimes we have to do both, even in qualification or in combined events. So we can act as the second referee, not as the main referee of that particular event, but as a second referee in one of the qualifying groups. Next one, Suren. Then from our side, and usually this is discussed with the office coordinator that is working with us, with the technical delegates, which means when I say choose this proposal, because we don't decide who can be the start referee, a full-time start referee, full-time video referee, and full-time track referee. When we start to be referees, there were the idea among maybe a couple of colleagues to have people also jumping from one event to the other, as we were doing in the past. We were really jumping from one to the other. I don't think it's the idea anymore. Now we have to be able to have this consistency that we want, and start referee has to be the same start referee since the beginning until the end, unless has a problem, a health problem or any other problem that has to be replaced. But if not, video and track. But between brackets, I have how many video referees? Once again, if we have enough referees, maybe we should have two video referees. And it is what in Tokyo I proposed. And probably in the future will be the same. And it was a little consequence of what happened in Doha. In Doha, as you know, we had the only afternoon evening session. And mostly there were a couple of sessions, very, very crowded with competitions. And the poor video referee, that was our good friend Ellen Roberts, it was difficult, let's say very difficult. And she was one of the first proposing, we have to have more than one, two, because it was complicated. And there was even, okay, let's, situation, I'm not going to say plural, where if she would have enough time to see what was happening in the field event, maybe one or two situations that happened would not happen. But of course, she was taking care of races, could not be attentive for the field event, and the problem was also raised later. So in some competitions, as I said, in Tokyo, it was proposed, it was accepted. We are going to have two video referees, one track, one for field events. This is not saying that they cannot discuss. They are not impeded to discuss if they want, but the decision is one of them. It's not a common decision. He or she has to assume that is my decision in the track or in the video or in the field event. And then if there is a protest, it is he or her, whatever, that has to reply to the
George?
to the protest. I know that I have to interrupt.
Yes. So we'll stop here and we will reconnect immediately on the same link in a few seconds. Okay.
Okay.
George, unmute yourself. Okay, George, we can continue.
Okay. So next one, please. This we already mentioned. Yes. And then always, not always, but it may happen that not all the ITOs should be or can be used to act as referees. And mostly there are two areas where not always the ITOs will be the referees of the event. Call room, for sure. The call room, as all of us know, is okay. We may have technical issues. Technical is not very easy. Disciplinary, of course, we can, but not so normal. So the person in the call room should be more a coordinator, a manager, than maybe really a referee. So most of the I'm not going to say all the times because I'm not sure, but World Athletics in places where I was in Europe, always the call room referee will be a local official, or if not local, someone that was proposed by the area, depending on the area, not in Europe, but in other areas it can be like this. And the other is the combined event. Not always we have enough ITOs to be ITOs also of combined events. So sometimes is a local official, sometimes ITOs also will be combined events. It was not the case of Doha, as an example. It will not be the case of Tokyo. In Tokyo, we'll also have ITOs as referees, and the future we'll see. But we have to evaluate if it is possible or not to use our ITOs also in combined events or not. And of course, as I said before, the first sentence here, in combined events, one is the combined event referee. And for instance, in the field events with two groups, he will be the referee of the A group, and then another colleague will be appointed to be the referee of the B group. So, next one. I already said. Next one. Call room, we don't have ITOs usually. Next one, the title. Okay, then to choose. Many times it's not to choose, it's a little to say, well, okay, is this one will do this and this field event and the other. So it's not, usually it's not, I like this one to be ITO in this competition or the other. Usually, at least as a chief ITO and those who work in the teams together, I never ask which event the people would prefer, because being ITOs, we have to be, I think we have to be generalists. So we may have, okay, maybe we like in our countries, we are mainly a referee of whatever it is, but when we are here, we should be open. And of course, if we have a problem, we can say to our colleague who is the coordinator, maybe I don't feel very comfortable. We should not say that, but I don't feel very comfortable in that event or in the other event. And okay, we can think on that. But usually we have to be prepared to be a referee in any type of event. Topics for the planning. Next one, Suren. This is something that was changed from the past, and maybe in the past it was already possible to do, but it was not. The referee will be involved in qualification in the final with simultaneous or consecutive groups. Is the same. Consecutive consecutive is in the long throws, they are consecutive, and the others is in the simultaneous. To try to have the ITOs being referee of the same type of field events. It's not possible to have an ITO being a referee only in the same type. But many times what is happening, talking again about Doha, what is in Tokyo, what may be in other events, each of us may be, for instance, ITO in 2 events. So if we can, maybe the 2 long jumps, the 2 long jumps, the 2 high jumps, the 2 discus throws. So try to have the same ITO in trying, I repeat, because sometimes it's not possible, in the same type of events, even because only theoretically, but is one of the things that we can ask our competition director. Many times the team may be the same. So if the team is the same, okay, they already know us, or they already know us from the past, or if it is the first time that we are officiating in that country or in that place of the country, okay, they will know us already from one event, and we will be the same in the following event. Next one. This is really a change from the past, where it was not normal for us to have meetings with our team before and after. And now is what well, was proposed, and I'm planning this since Doha. In London was still only meetings pre-events, but now also post-events. The pre-event also is a briefing that may not be so much important, it depends, not so much important, because in the briefings usually we understand what each of the officials is going, the task of each official. Okay, we can draw the attention for a couple of aspects, but the post-event is really important. If there was no problem, nothing happened from our side or from the athlete side or whatever side, it will be a very short meeting. We meet with the team, and if there was a problem, we will try to discuss what happened and try to not to happen the same in the next one. But if everything is going okay, we can continue without any type of problem. Or to have these meetings, it's obvious that I cannot plan for the ITOs before and after any race or any other field event. So this is relevant for me because I know, okay, this ITO will have qualification of high jump. So before high jump and after high jump, nothing. For the ITO to have time to meet with his team. And of course, these meetings have to be planned with the competition director, because we never know if some officials we all used in that high jump are going to officiate in another event that is being staged later. So in this case, probably the meeting will happen with us at the end of the session. So this is one thing that is important to agree with the competition director after informing him, if it is necessary, that we are going to do it. Then ask and evaluate interest and feasibility in appointing ITOs to supervise video distance measurement. The measurement was being done, but after a couple of issues that happened, it was proposed, and okay, there was some colleagues that were in track events, they were not anymore in track events, even because we have the video, to be honest. So there was an appointment for the colleagues to be in the GDM and to follow what was happening in that room. For Tokyo, I have to say that it's not still clear if it has to be done or not. Just on a moment, my mother is calling me. Just
George, unmute yourself.
yes, I know. I apologize, but okay, it's happened. Okay, so I was saying that in Tokyo it is not still clear because the Seiko system is different from the Omega 1. Let's call it like this. And in Tokyo, it may be not necessary because Omega uses automatic VDMs. So if it is automatic, it's really of not big use. But anyway, still waiting for information. To propose certain ITOs to areas in track races, as I mentioned before, okay, when they are free. And yeah, this depending on also in the competition that we have, youth or senior or combined events, heptathlon, javelin, we should have also planned, if we have enough ITOs, of course, to have ITOs in the more dangerous landing areas in throwing events. And I would say that typically maybe discus and javelin, mostly for those who don't throw so well, in the case of the javelin. Yes, next one. Then, of course, after we have our plan, with statistics, usually, and then we give information about statistics of each ITO, send the plan to technical delegates, usually through the office, who I'm talking about World Athletics and Europe, we do it like this, through the office, the office sends to the technical delegates, and then they come with feedback saying, yes, I agree, yes, maybe can we change something? So feedback and acceptance from them. Next one. Then this I will go a little faster because maybe it's not so relevant now. But in principle, the chief ITO should contact the ITOs at least to know if they have a couple of information. Logistics, usually are the offices doing this. But also from our side, it's important to know if things are mostly food, not talking about internal transport, accommodation, accreditation, we suppose that is, but not always food is arranged in a proper way. Then contact ITOs to change some information or to give some information about technical issues that it's important for them to know before they come. And of course, when they should receive the plan of assignments with some anticipation. Next one, Suren. Send plan also to the competition director. Maybe we even did it before, but it's good for the competition. For instance, Chris, since I talk about Chris, in London, he asked me, George, when you have the plan, please send me for. Oh, of course, when it will be approved, I will send it to you. Or even before being approved, please see if there is something that should be changed. And this is one of the things that I even asked him. I don't remember if it is written there, but I asked Chris already 2 times, London 3 times, London, Doha, and now for Tokyo. If, for instance, in the qualifying, if in the A group or in the B group would be the team that should be in the final, or if the final would be a mixed of officials, because if we would have in the A group the same group that would be in the final, for instance of javelin, the javelin is not a problem. Of high jump, the ITO who is the referee of that high jump should be in the A group, which you see, to have the same referee in qualification in the final. If in the final would be mixed, is of no big importance, but he was working in this way that I was saying. So our referees in London, in Doha, and now in Tokyo, all the ITOs will be the referees, will be in the A group of qualifying, because I already know that in principle, the same group will be in the final. So competition director will receive it. Then during the competition, I will be now a little more fast, but we have meeting with TDs and office coordinator, usually, meeting with the local NTOs. Sometimes it's only as you know, a presentation meeting. We are not doing much in this first meeting. Visit of the facilities, of course, to know where we are going to work and flows and everything that is necessary. Next one. Meeting with ITOs, obviously. And in this meeting, we can have some, I would say, not technical information if it is necessary, or to understand how the things are going with our colleagues. Welcome, of course. Review the logistics if everything is clear. Agree reporting times. If there are reporting times, I'm the type of give a lot of freedom to the ITOs in the team, unless we have a transport. Of course, if our hotel is 10 kilometers from the stadium, we have one transport, we have to be together. But as if in Doha or in London is walking distance. The only thing that is important is I have to be there at the time that I have to be there. So we don't need to be go together. If we can go if you want, but it's not really necessary. If the accreditation, everybody has accreditation, no problems. Uniforms, everybody received uniforms. If there are problems, sizes, if there is a dress code, if we receive the information from the organizing body, LOC, that there is a dress code, in the morning we dress like this, in the afternoon like that, we put a hat, we don't put a hat, we transmit this information unless they are in written, and we already received it before. Okay, allowances, because in some cases there are, and to understand if there are problems, sometimes there are. Then technical issues, internal organization also in this meeting. The contacts, with contacts we will have, how we will contact between us. Usually we have walkie-talkies most of the times. Sometimes we had phones not working so well, and sometimes walkie-talkies not working so well. And one of the things that has to work with all of them, all of us, sorry, the team, but the video referee, is to contact the video referee. If we have a bloody walkie-talkie that we cannot communicate with the video referees, a little, or the video referee cannot contact with us. I remember in a certain place where the video referee was in the bunker, down. So, yes, what are you saying? Could not listen, so cannot be like this. Of the umpires with the track referee, of course, we have to understand how the umpires will communicate with the track referee. In many cases, through someone when we have language problems. Between the start referee and the track referee, and with international photo finish judge, as I think everybody knows, when there are disqualifications, sensu or cards, this is communicated to international photo finish judge, introduce, or someone will introduce what happened down. With the competition director, not only if we have problems, but if he wants to contact with us. For instance, once again, in Doha, Chris was contacting with us when it was to slow a little this. The start should be already now, whatever. Chris was communicating with the ITO referee. In certain situations, it's not like this. For instance, in London, it was a little stupid to be like this because he's used to contact his guys, and if there was a problem, the chief judge, usually was the chief judge, would contact us saying, we have to slow, we have to. But in a place where language could be a problem, the contact was with us. In Tokyo, maybe it will be the same. With the technical delegates, if we need to contact the technical delegates for something. In the qualification, procedures, it's missing an R. Give information about qualification procedures to our colleagues. Of course, this is still the first meeting, don't forget. The ITO's plan to review. Okay, next one. Positioning, if there is something to talk about positioning, we'll mention about something about that, even if, for instance, sorry to come back to positioning. When we received it for Doha, when we received the plan from Chris, it seems that ITOs were very far in field events, were very far away from the venue of the competition. And of course, I asked Chris, Chris, is this really like this, so far away? Because it's not the best position. No, George, it's not this. Okay, good. But better to ask and better to have the information before we arrived. But so next one, now we can go to the next one. The forms, to review the forms, you can go faster because it's the usually daily paper start list. For instance, we have to understand if we as chief ITOs have to go to a certain place as the TIC to get all the start lists for everybody, or if they are bringing the start list for us and put it in the places with our names, we have to understand the system and then to follow. If they say, no, you have to come to the TIC and to bring to everybody. Okay, I'm coming, no problem. In statistics, what is important, implement list and statistics is always important for the next organizers, as you know. Sign results, field events, report, post-event reports, okay? And then daily meetings. This is the normal, is already happened in the past. I'm not talking about the meetings with the local Teams, we already mentioned, but at the end of the session, usually we have a daily meeting. And usually in the first day, at least in the first day, if there is a morning and the evening session, we have a meeting in the end of the morning to see if something has to change. We should propose to the technical lead something, and then at the end of the day, the same. The recommendations, well, this is something that usually we don't need to do when we have experimented team, no, because everybody knows. To be proactive, of course, don't cross legs, arms, no chewing gums. Sometimes it happens. Don't eat in field. Yes. Don't use mobile. This is one thing that makes me nervous sometimes. When I see photos, Facebook, of our colleagues taking photos with athletes in field, please, they can take the photos out, no problem, but in field is not okay, the best solution. Be seated. This is something that is old habit, but not always followed, because sometimes we have to insist with our colleagues to be seated in the cases where it is possible to sit. Next one. Then use or not of official bag. We may have it or not. Agree the flows with technical delegate CD. For instance, in London, we had plans on the walls of our room, plans where all the flows were indicated. So if we could not remember, now I'm going to high jump A. Let's say what is the flow? Okay, good. So we have to know in one way or the other. Agree with technical delegates and competition director our time of arrival at the competition site. Of course, we have to know when to enter. Do not create anxiety of judges with judges and athletics. And some of us, let's say very honestly, still some of us, I'm not talking about world athletics maybe, but okay, they like to have some colleagues and athletes very nervous. Be careful with marks, we know. Next. This, I hope that is now finished, but how many athletes we have disqualified in the past? Because even the starter was not consulting the waveforms when they exist. If they don't exist, we cannot consult. So waveforms must be consulted always when there is a strange case, because if it's something that everybody saw the bloody full start, but if we see full start, what? Reaction time minus 250, it's impossible, something is wrong. Let's see the waveform. We can, and I repeat, we know, some of us know that athletes were disqualified, wrongly disqualified, and did not protest. Yes. Next one. There is no next one?
Yes, yes.
Yes, in since we're saying that now also videos, of course. Measuring horizon, yes, when it is a foul. One thing that is important to understand is we should, I used to say that we should measure if we have, if there is a small infamous percentage, or for instance, a jury of appeal decide that throw, as an example, was a valid one. But if it is something very clear, we don't need to measure only because someone is asking. If it was is a mark of this size, please, in long or triple jump. Sorry, you see, it was you. It was not already there. So, but if there is a small, let's measure. So yes, supervise within the area and the movements. You know that there still is a fight between I'm not going to say organizations, but between and the officials, less officials. Of course, we can have less officials in field when it is needed, but then nobody's fighting the same way. The tens of TV crew that are in field, sometimes photographers, sometimes members of the technical partners, always us are the ones who are a lot of them. And we should help assist the organization, seeing if in our area there are people that should not be there and to understand why they are. Because sometimes, I'm very honest, there are people there, including from our friends, the technical partners, who are there because they like to be. It's nice to see pole vaults from here, but you are not doing nothing here. No, but so please leave. Before each event, meet, as I said, and brief the judges, visit the area before, and testing whatever it is necessary to test, if necessary. And after each team, as I said, meet the team, evaluate performance, discuss what we can do better if it is necessary, or to say, just to continue like this. Next one. Usually we have a test event, and many times the test events are awful. We know, because it's nothing, is nothing. I don't have time for examples, but okay. Usually we assign a couple of colleagues to be in the test event to see how it was working. But it can be a good test for TV and events presentation and whatever. For us, many times it is not, because it is nothing. It's some volunteers doing a couple of things. And then, almost finish, doing the competition is really to be a referee. Nothing special, is to be a referee. Next one, as I said, one thing that I have to say, I also started after London with the system that the British have, is not bad, is to brief the athletes in the call room, mostly in the field events, of course. In track events, not so much, to transmit a couple of information that may be important for them. And then I think is the next sentence, something that, yes, that I started only in Doha, that was in the call room for high jump and pole vault, to agree with them the heights that they would like to have for the practice trials. Not to do it when we are already inside. That is complicated. They are already there. Now is to come to say, good morning, good afternoon. I will be the referee of your event. Can we agree in the start heights that you like to have? And that my experience is not bad up to now, can change. And they say, B, C. I usually say, well, let's start with 3 heights. They say, and when we enter, it's already agreed. Of course, can be some changes afterwards. But before they enter, when everybody's together, let's ask them this. Next one, control the practice in field. We know that some athletes are, they like to put in front of the others in long triple jump. The throws, it's easy because we call them, no? So the order is the order that we have, but the other is not the same. So we have to be attentive to see if there is no one athlete that is practicing trial, then coming and putting in front of the others that are already in the queue. So let's control the athletes. Managing the timetable with the competition director, as I said before with Chris, he was telling us to be slow, to be a little faster. So control with them, or to interrupt, supervise the course of the event in all the points of view, of course, solve problems, hope not to happen, and finishing the event to do what I mentioned, to have the meetings with whom we have to have our team, and then usually with the technical delegates, at least the chief ITO will do it, and having the meeting with all the ITOs before. And I think it's okay. And then finally cooperate with the chief ITO in the preparation of the final report. Also a change, mostly in World Athletics, before, and some of us have that experience, after each event we have to fill a report. It's not necessary anymore. Information coming from World Athletics already, still IWF. We only fill a report, a report page, if there was a problem, if there is something to communicate. If there is nothing, if everything was okay, okay, we don't need, it's only in the meeting we say, no problem, everything okay. Yes, there was that, okay, we communicate orally, and then we fill the report and give to the chief ITO. It's finished, this part.
So do you want to?
It was not written thank you, because the thank you is at the end.
So do we keep this for the next one, George, or for the next presentation?
Yes, I think because it's it should finish when? At 22? Maybe it's better to
keep it for the next one, yes.
Yes, yeah. Not to interrupt is okay.
Okay, so what I can do now is to open and see if we have any. I will open the and enable the participants to ask questions directly. So I just need to unmute everybody. Just close this first.
Hace algún
400 años. No tiene tantos, ¿no? En realidad.
bueno, cerca.
Sí, casi, casi. Cuando la conocimos los dos éramos muy más jóvenes, ¿no? ¿Fue en
¿Recuerdas
Sao Paulo
que
o Río?
no le permitían que ingresara porque no tenía la edad mínima?
No, sí, ¿verdad?
Igual que
Como Fred. Fred igual.
Sí.
Sí. Muy bien, muy
Pero
bien.
qué bueno porque así la tenemos todavía.
Es verdad.
Hola, hola, Jorge, César, ¿cómo están?
Ah, muy bien, muy bien.
Profe, quería tomarme 2 segunditos ahora que me lo encuentro y darle mi más sentido pésame por su gran pérdida.
Muchas gracias, muchas
Sí,
gracias.
qué lástima que esta pandemia nos afecta. Yo perdí a mi padre en octubre por la pandemia y es un dolor que es difícil de superar.
Uy, también Gio. Condolencias,
Sí,
que no lo sabía.
no, muchas gracias, Jorge. Pasaba por aquí
Ya lo
solo a
siento,
saludar un
Jorge.
poco. Hey,
So-
everyone.
Hi, Joe, how are you?
Hey, how you doing, my
I
friend?
think
How
it's
you doing,
Joe
my
because
brother?
you're all covered up. We can't see and see.
I'm actually on a track right now in Chile. We're doing the national sprints.
That's
Okay.
great.
Yeah. I was just coming to say hi to everyone.
Gio, this is also a joke, but as in Portugal, the hairdressers are closed in Colombia. Because in Portugal they cannot work, so maybe it's the same.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to do our best here, but very few athletes, but it's been fun.
Now we have the same. Not so, last weekend we had the Portuguese indoor championships.
Yep.
But not many actually, for whatever reason. But some they are not training really.
Yeah.
Others are afraid, whatever. But they were
Yeah. Hey, great to see everyone.
the same. Well, we cannot see you, but anyway. Okay.
I can see you guys.
Yeah,
Hey,
no.
good to see you guys.
This is not correct. It's not fair.
Imre, how are you?
Cesar, good to see you. We're thinking about you a lot.
Thank
Yes.
you, thank you.
Yes, 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 yes.
So now,
I'm trying to keep alive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true, it's true.
so let's continue, George, with the.
Yes. Yeah. So the conformity forms we're talking about that usually is a way that is being done before and after to check if the elected EDMs or VDMs, the measurements are in conformity with the one with the tape. And we are doing this in all the field events where there are measurements. And we fill it with usually someone with the provider before and after, if there is a provider. Also competitions in some cases exist, in others probably not, but it's to compare if the measurement being offered by the electronic or VDM is the same that we have with the tape.
Okay, so
And usually these forms are also placed in the ITO's room to be more available. Let's say it's easier than to be looking for something else. In another place, sorry, not something else.
Hello?
yeah, any question?
Can I ask just a question here?
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much for the presentation. I lost out sometimes because of the internet. But how does one get satisfied as an ITU official? Because I am the technical director of the Athletics Association, Ghana Athletics Association. You have the required knowledge and expertise, but how does one get certified as an ITU delegate?
You said certify, to certify.
Yeah.
This in all the areas. is through courses and exams.
Okay.
We have two levels of ITO. Well, some years ago, the name was different, area technical official, if it was area official or international officials. But then there was a good proposal, even from an English speaking, that said that, but the area, well, this is no meaning. Okay, let's call all of them international technical officials, but some are area level and the others world athletics. And to, let's say, to progress, there are first in all the areas, courses of level 2. Of course, I cannot say how it works in all the areas, but I suppose the system may more or less be the same as we have in Europe. The area association will inform all the member federations that a certain course will be organized, the date, whatever. Yeah. Then the federations may propose candidates. Okay. Depending on the federation, if they have an educational system for officials, and they have the equivalence from now World Athletics, they can propose their more ranked officials, or if it is a federation who do not have their own system of education, and they are organizing with World Athletics level 1 of RDC, the local RDC, level 1 courses, and then after a certain number of years, they can be candidates to participate in a level 2. So we have the course that is we have a syllabus and may change, but okay, there is information on how to do it. At the end of the course, there are written and an oral exam. Then there is a final ranking, including those who passed and those who did not pass. And then area with the now World Athletics will decide which members will be in the panel coming from this course. I'm talking about new ones. Okay. No? Okay. Because the old ones, in principle, at least in Europe, we do it. They do the same exam that the new ones have to do. After being 4 years in the level 2, they can, if I'm not wrong, they can be candidates for a level 3. Once again, the area has to propose the candidates. In Europe, I like to talk about what I know, is an exam, results of the same exam, as I told you. Let's suppose that World Athletics, the future, the next exams, will say, okay, Europe has 6 places. And European Athletics, if it will not change, will choose the first 6 of that exam and will propose to World Athletics. Then there is not a course, actually it's not a course, it's a seminar, let's call it a seminar, maybe to talk a little about the rules that were recently approved, and again, exam, written, oral. In the level 2, there is another examination, is a presentation, but nothing important, how to organize, as an example also, how to organize a team in the of officials in long jump, how we solve ties in a pole vault, things like this. So there are 3 exams, a written, a presentation, and oral. And then this, the decision of the area and of the World Athletics. And everybody has to do exams every 4 years. So even in World Athletics, every 4 years there are new exams to the members who were in the panel and to the new ones that will be proposed by the areas. Okay. So there is, it is written how to do it and how we can be promoted. Let's call it like this. What is also important, because since it started, not since it started, but since a certain time, we in our countries or in our federations, we can think, yes, I can achieve a certain level. It depends on me. No, I have to prepare myself to study, probably. In many cases, it happened in my country, as an example, to try to speak, even if roughly, but international language, because if not, in my country, we had excellent referees that could never participate in any of these courses because they could not communicate in another language and sometimes they also refuse to try to learn.
Okay.
Because they were refusing since the beginning, it was a little difficult. But if yes, it depends on us. Is to prepare in a proper way, and then is to pass the exam. And in some cases, of course, if we have a higher number of colleagues who pass than the number of places that we have, of course, it will be the best ones.
Okay.
Elena?
Okay.
But you can do it. It's only to prepare.
Hi, Jorge. Okay, I've got
Hola, Lenita.
three proposals. You talk about working on better relationships between ITOs and national technical officials. I think that now we can have previous contact with them. And even, the national officials come from all over the country. So they don't know even each other, and they don't know how to work. This links with protocols. I think we should have some international protocols in order to know how to work. Not only the ITOs with the local officials and the local officials themselves. For example, the official with the spike won't leave the mark until he or she sees the performance on the scoreboard. For example, or we have to do or not, okay, to do an EDM check after every round of trials, for example, in order to avoid to have to repeat the whole event because of a problem with it. Okay, so these kind of protocols. We all know that. We all know that. The competition works. Oh, I don't know what's happening with this. Okay, the competition is going smoothly when the last day, because we all know what to do. But if we have protocols, the competition would work from the very beginning. This is my, you will all know about the problem we have last Sunday with Maria Vicente on main events female athlete that was competing in the individual event of long jump. This was because a lack of protocols. Because of this, the officials didn't see the white flag. She heard something. He had been told that if I say nothing, it's that it is a failure, and she heard something, so she said, okay, it's a failure. This cannot happen again. We should have protocols. And the last thing, what you propose of having more video referees in order to pay more attention to the field events, of course. And we should inform athletes, although they should know that they can be in 7th place because instead of a 2nd place because of an appeal or a protest. What cannot happen is that an athlete is awarded a medal because he would have planned his or her competition in another way. But we all saw that it was a failure. That trial with the performance of of a medal. This cannot happen. They must know that a trial can be awarded failure after 1 hour after finishing the competition. So I think we have to pay the same attention to field events than to races. These are my 3 ideas.
Will not answer, Elena. She may be right. The protocol, okay, something that we can at least at the World Athletics level we can see. But it's a little, for me, it's a little strange because we're talking about well, the problem, the case that you were commenting, the first case. Some of us, or maybe all of us, also read. It was in Facebook during the Spanish championships. But for me, it's a little strange because I guess that in Spain there is a protocol. But if you are saying that it's not so much, maybe there was not. I was a little surprised because I saw the images. I could not see the part where the guys who are leveling the sand were. But I still thought that maybe it was a case, a difficult, one of these very close takeoffs. And maybe the official was standing and looking if there was a mark or not in the processing. But no, he was raising the white flag. So I said, but why the guy was, or guys, I don't know if one or two, what they were raising is little, really strange. Usually, let's say, when we are ITOs and referees, if we review this, and now it's even easier, you see, when we have our teams to review all this situation, to say level only when whoever will be, if it is the chief judge or whoever will have the flags, or if it's someone else, to agree in each competition. Of course, we should try to understand always. And that's why one of my first sentences was to ask information from technical delegates and the coordinator from the organizing body in that competition, if there was a couple of things already agreed between TDs and the coordinator and the LOC to tell us. Maybe they will tell, yes, it was agreed that they will only level the sand when something will happen. Okay, we know, and we transmit to the colleagues will be officiating.
How you doing, honey? May I add something?
Yeah, I've been done. I was just listening. I can, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but usually we ask if there was something
Oh, no, it's just,
in advance, and then we transmit that information, or we try to have a common behavior, not to have in a qualification of long jump, the first group, something. They are doing this in a way, and then in the big group with the different team, they are doing in a different way. So protocols are important, of course, Elena. And most of the times, the LOCs, they even prepare almost books, sometimes big documents with all this information to the officials. But it's important if we should have international, maybe something to discuss. This is true. Then the athlete should be aware, of course, they should be aware. This case that we were talking, you were talking, for sure never happened. I know it never happened to have, and it is funny because in this situation I was in the jury years ago. Was it in Valencia? Was it in Valencia? There was also a medal, a similar medal like that. Has it happened in Doha? It's not easy. I have to confess, it's not easy to be a member of a jury of appeal in this situation. I know it is not, because one of the athletes or more than one athlete would be really disturbed in their ranking. They are complicated, but it happened precisely because the video referee could not be attentive to the field events, and no one else was from the team. The provider, because usually they have people who are also trying to check. There were a couple of colleagues, let's call it local colleagues, who were also assisting Ellen, but it was not enough. It could happen the same. I'm not going to say that could not happen. The strange in this situation was that nobody was protesting until the end.
Yes, let me add something. Can I?
Of course, Cesar.
Can I? Because this is not the first time that something like that happens. And we know that it's perhaps in the hands of World Athletics. You remember how much we worked in order to have that photo finish that used to be a prototype who sends services only for very top events, only World Championships, only Olympic Games. And we tried very hard to have every national federation to have their own photo finish, smaller price, and easy to use. I think we should make every effort to use modern technology, because we have the VDM. The VDM also started as a prototype. Now it can be acquired by any national federation. If it is used, then every jump is recorded forever. And even if this happens, what happened in last Saturday in Madrid, the jump was there recorded and everything could be recovered. So I believe that within World Athletics, we should do every effort to use technology in every federation in the world. And now it is possible.
This is true, Cesar, of course, and in the top competitions and World Athletics it has. But the case Elena was mentioning, and it was World Athletics, the technology was there, but the problem is that there was not enough people to see everything that was happening at the same time, because it was an awful evening session with a lot of events at the same time, and that particular situation was not seen in field, apparently. And the video referee or the people that was in the video referee room were not aware of that. And then I guess even for Elena, but it's my point of view, I think that the decision of the jury of appeal was because they thought, what are we going to do now? To come back to the...
Jorge, it was a national championship. There was no BDN, and we know that we have available it with a Spanish company.
That's right.
There was no problem, few people inside, but really, we had 2 field events and 1 race, not more. In the same.
No, in this case it's clear.
So there's no excuse. It was it was an official's mistake. Clearly.
No, I'm talking about the other. Yeah, in the World Championships there was the technology, but as I said, it was a very full afternoon, and the problem was not seen. The situation was not checked, only afterwards. And then the jury of appeal was really with a very heavy burden and say what to decide now. And I thought, we can agree or not, the best solution is to give the medal to the guy, and that's all. Cannot be the best. I know, because if not, they have to come behind, because the guy who did the foul that was not considered had a foul. It was in the, if I'm not wrong, in the second trial, in a certain throwing event, and then in the third was a foul. So if not, it was a foul, maybe because he thought, okay, I'm already qualified for the last 3, so the jury has to see, no, maybe now we have to also give the third trial to the guy, because the situation is not the same, because now we had 2 fouls before. Was complicated. Okay, as I said, sometimes, it was complicated. But I fully agree with you. If we have the technology, we have to use it. And then we may have problem, of course. We may, it's life, but let's try not to have. That's why, if we have enough people to control in the video room, let's do it, because technology is to be used, really to be used, not only to wait for any question from the, because the other day, it was a little strange for me, but one webinar that was attending, maybe you too, and other colleagues, já vou. One colleague of us said that in a competition where he was, not last year, because there was not, the year before, got the information that the video referee could only act if there was a question from infield. It's not the idea. It's not the idea. But he received the information, so apparently he saw a couple of things, but because the infield referee was not asking nothing, he was doing nothing. And there was a couple of mistakes, apparently, what I understood. We could not have the information who gave that order, let's call it like this, but it's not the idea. The video referee is to be able to intervene and to ask, if it is the case, to ask the infield referee if he saw A or B or C. Probably not, because if not, something would happen. But to ask, eu estou na reunião, estou aqui na reunião. Sorry, I apologize. So next one. Yes.
Anyone wants to ask a question?
Yes, it's very good that World Athletics has put out now the last position on video refereeing, because it's very clear that we should not just be relying on broadcasters for the video refereeing. And there are certain cameras that we need to institute in every, for example, in every field event, right? And the official videos should be done by the organizers themselves, or the local, the officiating body should have their own official video cameras. And I think that's excellent.
Yeah, one thing that I was not saying before, but I can comment now concerning the video referee. Of course, that we should have a video referee if there are the proper technical facilities to give the information that we need, because not always happen. Talking about World Athletics, of course, in their events, there are, but not always. If you're talking about the age group competition, as an example, maybe the LOC cannot afford to have a proper video referee system. So maybe he has a couple of cameras to serve for nothing. So in this case, it's better not to have to lose an ITO as a video referee, because the information will be none. I remember in a competition a couple of years ago where I was in the jury, not as ITO, and there was a disqualification of an athlete because of something. And okay, we asked to see the images. Could you see something? Neither did we. We could not, because it was nothing. It was not possible to see really what happened. So, okay, to have a video referee, if we have the possibility to decide something with the images that are provided. If the images are awful or almost not existing, it's better not to. And the most, if these cameras exist, the proper referee to try to consult the images in case it's possible to see something. But video referee, yes, with the proper technical apparatus that we should have.
Next. Nobody?
But now with cell phones available and the technology of cell phones available, once we have enough officials, it's possible for us to put somebody to be especially video recording the key elements of the event.
Yeah, in some situations, as I said before, I don't agree with the cell phones for certain uses. No, but for instance, for the future, after the 1st of November of this year, as you know, the takeoff and long and triple jump will change the philosophy, no? And in this case, it will not be an easy job for officials, I have to say. And maybe one possibility is to use, well, if there is nothing at all, the plasticine is always possible to use, we know, even if the general idea is not to use a plasticine board, but it's possible according to the rules it is. And mobile phones, smartphones can be used to confirm, in principle, theoretically also, can be used to understand if the athlete was or not passing the takeoff line or not, or plan, no, in this case.
Okay, so anyone else?
Eu já vou, estou aqui a falar. Sorry, my mother was calling me again, that's why.
I'm just asking, in what ways or how can athletes identify the referee of an event in order to give a verbal protest? An athlete who wants to give a verbal protest in an event because of an infringement or something, how can he identify the referee? In what ways can he be able to relay his grievances in order to give the protest?
Yeah, usually no. I think that always, or at least most of the cases, the referee has an armband. Talking about infield referees or the referee in road events. So the athlete, in principle, will know who is the referee and can protest directly to him. Of course, images, if they are in field, not always are so possible to access. I don't know if even this change of the takeoff philosophy may also change some philosophies of what we have in field. But I still remember that some years ago when we had the World Championships in Helsinki, and I was there. Claudinha was also. Surian, I don't remember. If you were, Claudinha, I remember. And I think that in all field events, there were monitors where not only the referee, but also the athletes could see what was happening. I don't know if this in the future may be a demand from organizers from organizing bodies to organizers, but this one possibility. If not, further to the oral protest without any proper information, members of the team, not the athlete, because the athlete is not going to leave the place to go to the video room. If there is a video room, we're talking about now about competitions where these facilities exist. The members of a member of the team may go to the video room and to consult the images. This is possible. It's usually arranged through the TIC, and it's possible. So they can see it and then confirm to the athlete, of course, in field what happened. But usually, unless what I saw in Helsinki some years ago may happen in the future more frequently, the athletes don't, or unless they saw in the big video, maybe images that are assisting him in a way to present a protest. But further to this, the images are not going to be repeated in the giant screen if it exists, only because the athlete won't. So probably has to protest directly. He can, identifying with the armband without these images, but the team members can, if there is video images, proper video images to consult, they can ask to go to the video room and to consult those images for the protest and then for an appeal if they want to do it, of course.
Okay, so we have one time for one last question. So if there's no question, so George?
Can I ask one to George? It's
Go
David
ahead, David.
Whiter. Yes, good morning, George. It's morning.
Hello, David. How are you?
It's almost time for the sun to come up.
Anyway, so early.
Anyway, my question for you is about video start referee. Is this coming?
I cannot tell you because there is no proposal yet. Who knows? Maybe in the future. Of course, it's possible to ask the video referee for a comment about. First of all, the ideal situation was to have images in the area where the starter and the start referee can see the images. This is the ideal situation, of course. But if not, if we don't have it, there are always the possibility, and it happened already in the past, to have to contact the video referee. To have in the future a video start referee, we'll see. David, I cannot tell you. I cannot tell you because even though it's okay, but maybe there is always the possibility, you know, for member federations to propose things. Still, there is. So if the proposal appears, or if there is an internal proposal from World Athletics or any area, we will see. A video, but once again, I would always prefer to have these images being available to starter and start referee, because they are there in the place. To be in a little far away, okay, of course we can have the video referee in a different position, but I don't think it's precisely the same. I would prefer to have images available to these two guys.
Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you, David.
One last question from me. Lucas from Nigeria.
Quickly, Lucas.
George, George, thank you very much. My mind goes to regional competition, where referees may have been appointed and the current situation where ITOs are referees. I'm just debating within me in a particular event, who exactly should the athlete approach? The appointed referee by the organizing committee or the ITO who is now a referee in that event?
I'm not sure if I understood the question, but the ITOs are appointed by the, if it is an area competition, it's the area who appoints the ITOs. And then someone, in principle, the chief will propose, it will present a proposal of assignment for the different ITOs. Okay, and they will be the referees in principle of all the events. But as I said before, if there are not enough, and then in principle the technical delegates will ask local officials to be referees events where we don't have ITOs to be there. I'm not sure if I answered, because I'm not sure if I understood the question because of the sound that is a little low. But if Suren,
yeah, so we in any case we will take that in the next time you come, George. We will have more time for that. So George, before we do the closing remarks, do you want to say a few words, and then we can do the closing remarks?
No, only to thank you very much to you and the team for the invitation. I apologize for the change of the program today. It was shorter, but as I said, I can come again if you want. And obviously, as several colleagues that were maybe attending, always available to discuss this kind of things, even personally. Now with these technologies, even if I'm not so good, generally speaking, but always available to discuss, and if necessary, if possible, to clarify any doubts that you may have together with other colleagues, of course.
Thank you, George.
And thank again.
Yeah, it was as we expected, a brilliant presentation. Thank you for being available to us. And of course, we will get you in sooner than later. We will see in the next few weeks to get you in. Just before we will conclude, just to say that little did we think when we started these videos a few months back during the confinement that we will achieve 30 video conferences. I would like to thank each and every one of you who has accepted to come and devote some time to sharing with our friends. Each one of you has accepted, and we are very grateful for that. And in 2 weeks' time, we will be having Jacob Larsen, who is now the World Athletics Development Director. So he will be coming and talk about the future of development in athletics, in world athletics. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, George, for devoting your time. We will see George back in a few weeks' time to continue on the next part of this brilliant presentation.
I thank you again.
Thank you all. Bye-bye. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you very much, George.
All of you.
Thank
ciao,
you
ciao.
very much.
Kisses and hugs for everybody.
Bye-bye.
Happy 30th anniversary, and thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Lukas.
Jetzt geht's nicht aus. Warum geht es nicht aus?
Bye from Zimbabwe.